Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
If education and workforce training are key to developing the cybersecurity workforce, then one group thinks it has some of the answers. The Advanced Technology Academic Research Center, ATARC, has published a detailed plan, what it calls a workforce development pipeline and pathway strategy. Joining me with some of the details, California State University professor Keith Clement. Dr. Clement, good to have you with us.
Good morning, Tom. Thank you for having me today.
And, well, we talk about this a lot, the workforce shortage, and there's not enough cybersecurity people, not enough training going on. What is the real challenge, do you think? Put it in some terms we can come to grips with.
Tom, I think that we could view things as a capability gap, just not having enough employees to fill out our information security teams. We could view it as a matter of those folks not having the skill set necessary for 2024's advanced threat environment. And I think that thirdly, we could really look into the issues of the transition from the preparation process to actual employment process. And I think those are three key issues.
Yeah, so the capabilities is just sheer capacity, you mean? And do we have enough bodies, potentially even, for this challenge?
Globally, World Economic Forum estimates there are over 4 million cybersecurity jobs available. In the United States, we have about 450,000 cyber jobs that are currently open. You could look at larger states that could have easily 50 or 60,000 job openings there. You could look at Silicon Valley or specific regions to have 20 or 25,000 jobs available. You could really view this in any way that you wanted to. It is a national security issue. It is a national economic security issue. And I think that one of the misnomers out there, Tom, unfortunately, is a lot of folks think that you can just go to a couple of classes over the weekend and by Monday morning, you're the chief information security officer of a major U.S. corporation or federal government agency. And it's actually a rather detailed process.
Right. And cybersecurity jobs cover the gamut from, if you are a CISO, you're probably not sitting in the Security Operations Center looking for alerts personally, but yet sitting in the Security Operations Center and looking for alerts, that is a job. So it really is from the highly technical keyboard pounding to management and planning.
Tom, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, that we could view cybersecurity as an entry-level problem, but it is probably more of an intermediate and advanced role problem. We really have problems with burnout and keeping people in the field for long enough to be senior personnel in these respects. And on a separate but related issue, I think that the state of cybersecurity management is also very much in question. We just do not have the managers nor the executives or the entry-level folks, and it's a problem.
And you mentioned there is the preparation, because there are lots of schools that offer comprehensive cybersecurity training, but then the employment, there's kind of a valley of death there, it seems like.
Oh, worse than a valley of death. At least in the valley of death, some may end up taking hope. But at the end of the day, in this area, the level of frustration and anxiety of potential candidates getting into the field almost rivals the stress and the pressure and the skeleton crews they likely face when they actually get on the job. I mean, I think that only about 2/3 of cybersecurity jobs are filled. How good does any team do with 2/3 of a squad, right? I mean, one or two people go out on vacation and the office is in chaos. I mean, somebody gets sick, heaven forbid. I mean, just serious problems. But I think there's 3 steps of the preparation process that folks need to think through about getting into the world of cybersecurity. One, as you mentioned, is the education, the 4-year degrees and the master's degrees and all that kind of stuff. The second is the reliance on industry-based professional certifications that are critical in IT and in cyber and growing in AI, just to put that out there. And third, I think the valley of death that you refer to is there are so few opportunities for workforce development in this area, like lacking internships, lacking apprenticeships, and those opportunities, that's really a barrier that a lot of folks have a hard time overcoming. It's the chicken or the egg, right? I need the job. Well, you have to have the work experience to get the job, and it is a tough cycle right there.
We are speaking with Dr. Keith Clement. He's a professor of criminology at Cal State Fresno. And by the way, how does a criminology professor get into the cybersecurity business?
I appreciate, Tom, that question deeply. I get it an awful lot. The first issue, of course, is the relationship between cybercrime and cyber terrorism as it relates to the world of criminology that is fast-paced and rapidly changing. I think that there are a lot of malicious actors out there that think that it's easier to conduct internet scams and ransomware attacks than it is to put a gun in somebody's face on a street corner and face hard time in prison. So the folks engaging in cybersecurity is a criminological component. But I think that what you're really suggesting here is something else. That is, what is a criminologist doing in a technical and specialized area of cybersecurity? And I would just say that machines do as they're told, that the real problem in all of this, responsible for 90 to 95% of breaches and all of these other things, is the human element of it. And not only that aspect of the human development, but it's critical to think of education and workforce development as bringing many different silos or many different groups of folks that don't play very well in the sandbox, as they say. And it's really been a challenge to bring industry, higher education, K-12, community-based organizations, the public sector. It's been really hard to bring all of those actors together that have to be present in the development of a career pipeline and pathway.
And give us the top-line view, then, of what ATARC has come up with for some solutions to the capabilities, skills, and employment gap.
So speaking to our federal friends and colleagues, I think that there are at least two significant contributions of that ATARC report that should garner some attention. The first is actually related to a framework to assist K-12 and higher education institutions and technology services offices on a framework by which they can use to assist them in developing additional cyber awareness and preparedness training types of programs. On the education side, I suspect that the long dominance of a cyber or specialized degree program is probably a question mark these days. One of the key aspects of the ATARC report is the development of a traditional or academic pathway into cybersecurity. The one that your viewers are most familiar with, like the 4-year degrees, and you get a handful of CompTIA certificates, and then you get a 1-year apprentice somewhere, and then voila, you're in the job of your dreams. But also a non-traditional pathway, that is that, in all fairness, a highly specialized STEM degree program in anything super technical and specialized is going to rely on calculus and significant, not everybody can get a master's or bachelor's degree from MIT in computer science, right? Which is the reality of the world. And if we're going to rely only on degrees as a pathway into federal employment in this matter, we're going to just have. So instead, what we need to do, as the ATARC report suggests, is the development of a non-traditional pathway that replaces, in essence, the academics with certifications and hands-on skills and training, and a workforce model to include either internships, paid internships, or a registered apprenticeship model through the U.S. Department of Labor, USDOL.
Right, and that's similar to what the Biden administration has been really pushing, right, in several areas, is skills-based hiring where appropriate and not degree-based and KSA-based, or I guess the middle word of KSA is skills.
I think that one of the misnomers out there in the cyber world is the dynamics of the new tools and knowledge and skills. I mean, if you were an information security trained individual from 15 or 20 years ago, you'd probably wonder what the heck is going on around here, because it's changed dramatically and it'll change tomorrow. And we could just as easily talk about the impact of artificial intelligence on these matters, the convergence of AI and cybersecurity